I have completed my aptitude test now. It was a bit difficult compared to the other companies. The company's name was which this college usually provides placements, and also it provides internships to students during their third year, and it is a very good college.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Alumni Success Stories, initiative of ARMIET College of Engineering Technology, where mentors and mentees connect on this platform. This is the season 2, and we are on the 5th day of this Alumni Success Story Part 2. So with us today, we have a friend is very, very near to us. He is from Canada. Yes, friends, today we have guest who is coming all the way from Canada, and his name is Mr. Nitant Joshi. And the topic today he is going to cover is an insight into the Canadian market. So all be ready with all your questions. You want to know about how you can conquer Canada market. So for introducing Mr. Nitant Joshi, I invite Professor Abhinav sir to introduce today's guest.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. For today's session, I would like to introduce one of our brightest alumni, Nitant Joshi. He has done his graduation from ARMIET in mechanical engineering. He has worked with many successful companies such as Make My Trip as Senior Business Development Manager, in Zomato as Key Accountant Manager, in Oyo as Business Development Manager, in Bajaj as Assistant Manager in Consumer Products, and in Parkland Fuel Corporation as in Inside Sales. Today, he will guide us on insight to the Canadian market. Over to you, Nitant.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction, and I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts with the all the students listening in. So yeah, without further ado, let me just get into the presentation. So I'll just outline what I'm going to be doing today. So basically, what I'm trying to do is just give you an insight about how stuff in Canada works, how the Canadian market is. I'm not going to be advising you to move over here or don't move over here. That's a decision which I believe everyone has to take personally. But I just want to put emphasis on the fact that what you can expect once you arrive or set foot in Canada. So that is what basically I want to do. And let's begin with the presentation. Just share my screen. Okay. So just a little bit of an introduction about myself. So I started with my engineering journey with a diploma in mechanical engineering from Bhagubai Mafatlal Polytechnic, one of the good polytechnics based out of Ville Parle in Mumbai. I spent around 4 years over there, 3 years for with the institute and 1 year of internship. After that is when I joined ARMIET. So my journey with ARMIET began in 2010. Again, it was an experience which completely changed my perspective about life, about how things are supposed to happen in the real world. And ARMIET is where I made connections with people who I'm still in touch with. I have made friends for my life who are very close to me, thanks to the college and thanks to our journey in the college. And yeah, pretty much early during my engineering days, in my second year itself, I realized that I wasn't really made for engineering. I didn't really understand the technical aspects too much about it, but I was always been good at speaking. I've always been good at connecting with people. So I wanted to try my hand at sales. But having said that, to get into sales in a good company with engineering background is really difficult. So that is why I decided to pursue a postgraduate diploma in management. So yeah, so that really opened up a lot of doors for me. It really made me realize that what are the tools that I needed to succeed in the sales field, in the sales market. And those were the good 2 years that I spent again with Chetna's Institute of Management and Research based out of Bandra. And after that was when my career began. So straight from college, from my postgraduate diploma college, I was selected for Bajaj Electricals Limited. I started my journey with Bajaj Electricals Limited in Hyderabad. I was placed in Hyderabad, and being from Mumbai, it was really tough. I was born and brought up in Mumbai, understood Hindi and Marathi and English, but had no clue about the Telugu language used in Hyderabad, and I was asked to move there. It was really a very good journey for me, a very good learning experience, interacting with people from different culture, having that language barrier, but still managing to work successfully with them. That is what I really appreciated about my time with Bajaj Electricals Limited. So in Bajaj, I used to handle the market of Secunderabad. I had a team of six sales people working with me for me. And I also had a stint in Mumbai with Bajaj Electricals Limited. I used to handle the wholesale market in south of Mumbai. Again, I had a team of five salesmen reporting to me. So that was my journey with Bajaj Electricals Limited. After that, I again thought that I wanted to, broaden my horizons, try different segments. That is when the opportunity with Make My Trip came on. And in Make My Trip, I was based out of Mumbai itself. What basically I used to do in Make My Trip was we had to reach out to different hotels and negotiate the commissions, get them on board with us, complete the onboarding formalities. Again, acquisition role. So that was a really good time that I spent with Make My Trip. I was on a field a lot. Basically, for 15 days a month, we were straight on the field. So that took a really heavy toll on the social life, on the personal life as well, on your mental health as well. But even having said that, it was a really good experience to be, on the road, meeting again different people from different parts of the country, understanding what they really want and making that connections. I think throughout my sales career, the connections that I have made with people is what has really helped me. Um, After make my trip, I got an opportunity to work with Zomato. As in Zomato, I was a key account manager, handling the suburbs, the Andheri area. Again, it was pretty tough. It's a pretty tough market when it comes to food delivery or food tech business, and the model was completely different to what I was used to. I had to quickly learn and quickly adapt the way that I was selling, quickly adapt the different methodologies and the techniques used by the company. It was a really good learning experience, but one of the most hectic and pressurized situations that I've ever been in was in Zomato. But it really helped me prepare for my future roles, because I don't think I've ever worked with any other company which has, been so much sales driven as Zomato was. So yeah, that was a really nice experience for me, being in that pressure cooker situation, trying to cope up with all the stress. And but even when, having said that, when you actually start delivering is when you start realizing the benefits of being in that pressure situation. So that really helped me a lot. After that, I had an opportunity to work with weddings.in, which is uh, owned by Oyo. Again, I was working there as a sales manager, business development manager. Basically, in charge of again acquisitions. We had to negotiate commissions with the banquet owners, get them on board, and get them listed on our platform. Again, it's sort of a different experience working in a sector that is completely informal, that is not technologically driven. It was a tough market to crack, a different model that I had to learn. But yeah, it was a good stint, good learning experience. I certainly think that the toughest conversation that I've ever had in sales was in weddings.in, to convince the people who really don't trust technology that much, to convince them the value proposition was really tough for us as sales guys. But it was a good learning experience there as well. So post Oyo is when I decided that it was time to pack up my bags and move to Canada. I came to Canada. I landed here in the month of July, August in 2019, is when I came to Canada, Vancouver. So my wife has been in Vancouver for the last 3-4 years. She did her MBA from UBC, and once we got married and I got my PR and everything set up, is when I decided to move to Canada. It has been a really good journey for me so far, and I've been really lucky in my job search. That I really landed a job pretty quickly in Vancouver. Vancouver is supposed to be the toughest market when it comes to the job industry for working professionals, but I was lucky enough to get an opportunity with a nice company like Parkland. So basically, what my company does is we have different brands under us, brands which predominantly supply diesel and petrol and other fueling requirements to B2B customers. So I handle commercial sales for them. I am based out of Vancouver. It has been a good learning journey so far, understanding the different culture, understanding the different mindset of the people, again making the connections. So yeah, I mean, throughout my sales journey, the connections and the personal value that I bring onto the table has been one of my most successful qualities. You can say that I've always thrived on making that personal connection with people, and my sales pitch has always been, in whichever company I go to or I work with. My sales pitch has always been more focused on what I, as a person, bring onto the table rather than what the company brings on. I still believe firmly that uh, when a customer buys something, he doesn't buy it from the company, he buys it from the salesman. That is what I firmly believe in, and it has made me realize that, yeah, the importance of forming personal connections, especially for sales. So yeah, these are a few memories of my time with ARMIET. One of the best 4 years of my life that I spent were during my college days in ARMIET. I can still remember the canteens, the buildings, and the fun that we used to have hanging around the college. And we had a group. I still have, I mean, a group of 10 of us, 10 guys, um, who are still we are still in good touch with. We still chat a lot. These are all connections that I made, friendships that I made with during my time in ARMITE. I still remember the first day that I had to go to college. I used to stay in Kandivli and the college was in Asangao, right? So getting up at 5:30 in the morning, catching the 6:30 a.m. train from Kandivli, getting off at Dadar, catching the Kasara fast at 7:19 it was, I think, yeah, 7:19, getting down at 8:45 at Asangao station, having the misal pav right outside Asangao station, then heading back to college. So by the time used to reach college, it was like half the day was over for us, and still we have to sit in the college and attend the lectures, and then again catch the evening train and go back home to Kandivli. So I mean, it was the journey part was long, but the friendships that I made the journey really pleasant, really good, and a lot of learning experiences. I mean, one of the best things that I learned uh, with my time at ARMITE was, you cannot change your circumstances, right? It is what it is. But how to make the best of it, how to extract the maximum possible uh, advantage out of the situation that you are in, is what I learned from my time in ARMITE, and it really helped me a lot in my sales career, especially. I realized pretty early that whichever situation that you are forced into, you absolutely cannot change it. If you can, well and good. If you can't, then you just have to make the best out of it and move on with life. So that was one of the best learnings that I got from my time in ARMITE. And I believe this document everybody would have recognized. This was an old photo that I found in one of my WhatsApp messages. Fifth semester result, one of the most dreaded documents that come out during the 6 months course of time. I can still imagine the fear that used to run into our body just when we used to get the news that the results are out. We were just dread the number of KTs or that we would get. But yeah, it was some good times, some fun times. Again, we got a chance to enter the Vidyalankar Institute of Technology Tech Fest. My project was radiant cooling system, so that was a good opportunity to mingle with other colleges as well. We were the only the two projects that were entered that year, I believe. And yeah, it was a nice opportunity given to us by the college. It was a nice learning experience. It really made us understand where we stand in terms of the competition or in terms of the other students out there. And it really broadened the horizons a bit for me personally speaking. It was these times that I realized that engineering would be a really tough thing to crack for me personally, and I made the choice to move on to sales and management. So yeah, I would say my life at ARMITE was absolutely fantastic in terms of personal development, in terms of personal learning, in terms of friendships that I made, in terms of things that I learned which I absolutely couldn't have learned anywhere else. So some good years, some good time that I spent at ARMITE. Yeah, so moving on to what we are going to be talking today, the Canadian market for working professionals. Let's just get straight into it. I have a few slides and important points that I want to discuss with you all. So the biggest question is, how do we enter the Canadian workforce? Now, I'm not the right person to guide you throughout the whole process. I believe there are consultants who are better qualified than me to guide you. But what I can do is I can give you a broad understanding of how things are, and then people can make their own decisions about how they want to go, and if they want to come into Canada, what is the route that they should take. So basically, the most common one is either the graduate or the postgraduate study program that is offered by institutes and universities across Canada. Um, so the process is again pretty much similar to what it is for universities in USA or Australia for that matter. But having said that, the difference over here in Canada is the study permit that you get, and the work permit that you get is pretty extensive, it's pretty long, but it's really easy. The immigration laws are really easy, which makes people, which makes it easier to get your PR, your work permit through the educational route. So that becomes pretty straightforward if you are doing a postgraduate study. And then, of course, if you are studying here, then the additional Canadian educational experience comes in handy for your job search. Um, Apart from that, what really happens is if you have a Canadian educational background, people give you preference during your job searches, during your job interviews, because it's easier for them to hire a person who's having a Canadian experience and not take a risk, rather than hiring someone who's from a different country, and just probably moved on to Canada, but then doesn't have any other experience living locally. So it's less of a risk to hire someone who's actually studied in Canada and who's got a degree from a recognized university in Canada. And the other advantage of studying over here is basically you get more time to get yourself used to the surroundings, the culture. Uh, Basically just get used to the country, get used to the people, how the system works, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. So that that postgraduate or the graduate programs gives you that additional 2-3 years to get yourself into the perfect mindset and understand how the country works and behaves. But having said that, there are some disadvantages as well. The first and the most obvious ones is, of course, the financial burden. So financially it is tough, to actually get in 50-70 lakh loan or arrange for that amount and get a degree, go for a degree. So the financial burden is going to be there. If you can afford it, well and good, please go for it. But if people can't afford it, then that's a decision that you'll have to make, consider keeping your family in the loop and working on the pros and the cons. And the other thing is, yeah, if you come here, basically you have to start from scratch, right? You don't know anybody in the country, you don't have a lot of family over here, the culture is completely different. So it takes a lot of time adjusting to a new place, basically just get into that mindset. That is one of the disadvantages of doing a graduate or a postgraduate study program in Canada. The other way to enter the Canadian workforce is through your permanent residency, or PR as we call it. Again, there is a lot of research, that is a lot of material available online that you can research about how to get a PR. There are different methods which are suitable for different people. Again, I am not the right person to guide you through this. There are consultants available. You should definitely go to any one of them. They'll be more than happy to help you out. Having said that, I would like to discuss some advantages of getting a PR and entering the country. First and the most obvious is you don't have any student loans on your head, right? Because you're directly coming into the country with a permanent residency. So that is a burden which you don't have to bear. Apart from that the PR is basically just like your Aadhaar card, you can say. So once you have a PR, you don't require any other permits to stay in the country or to work in the country. Your PR settles pretty much all the questions. So you just, being a PR holder, the only thing that you can't do is vote or hold a government position. But apart from that, a PR gives you all the benefits that a citizen or Canadian citizen gets. So that is an advantage. And yeah, so having a PR is basically just one step away from getting your Canadian passport. So basically, you get a PR for 3 to 5 years, and once the PR expires, is when you are eligible for applying for Canadian citizenship and getting a Canadian passport. There are some disadvantages as well. So once, let's say, if you are based out of India, right, and you do your research, you realize that you are eligible for a PR, you apply for a PR, you get the PR, and you move over to Canada. Now, when you come over to Canada, you don't have any Canadian work or education experience, right? You have the education experience which is based out of India, and it's pretty good. But over here, I mean, why would anybody take a risk of hiring again person who doesn't have any experience in the country versus a person who has been in the country for such a long time and has been studying in the country. So that is definitely a disadvantage that I feel that the PR holders have. And again, so I mean, you might be working at a very high profile job back in India or wherever you are based at. But when you move to a new country, a different country, be it Canada or any other country, and you don't have an education experience or a work experience from that country, then you might get a job profile which is a little bit at a lower level or a starting level position rather than where you were actually in your home country. So that is one of the things that you have to be prepared for, you have to be ready for. So yeah, I just wanted to share some pros and cons of different types of entries into Canada. And moving on, let's say you decide to move to Canada. Let's say you take any one of the routes that you need to move into the country. What I want to basically now do is just run you through a few pros and cons of what to expect once you are in Canada, once you have landed, once you are done with your decision and you're finally moved into the country. The first and I think the biggest advantage over here in this country is the open and friendly work culture. Even in India, when I was in the system, when I was working in India, we still had that custom of calling our managers as sir, or with respect, of course. But that culture was still there, that you used to call your manager sir. Here, it's very common to call your boss by your first name. They would be surprised if you call them using the title sir. So it's like very friendly and open work culture. You can talk to anyone, you can expect the same kind of respect from each and every person. So it's a pretty good atmosphere to be a part of, especially when you're working in a company in a new country, and people are so open and people are so welcoming, and they accept you with open arms. So that is one of the advantages that I felt. And yeah, of course, there is high demand for STEM professionals. What I mean by that is professionals who have work or educational experience in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So that demand is pretty high in Canada at the moment. And especially when it comes to engineering, the demand is really high. So if you decide to come into the country, if you do decide to move, be rest assured your skills, if they are up to the mark, you will be in demand. So any of the STEM professionals are always welcome in Canada, are sought after in the country. So that is one of the advantages. The next thing that I really like about my professional life in Canada is the work-life balance. What I say by work-life balance is the fact that, let's compare Mumbai and Vancouver, right? In Mumbai, I used to be at office at 9 a.m. and probably come back in the evening after 8 p.m. That was like 11, 12 hours of work. And it's pretty common to have that kind of work schedule in Mumbai for everyone. But here, things are different. Here, the focus from your managers, from your bosses, from the whole company would be, to make sure that all the employees have work-life balance. So let's say when if the office shuts at 4:30 or 5, it shuts at 4:30 or 5. There is no obligation on anyone to work overtime or to come in and do the late hours. So people do focus on having a work life balance, and they feel it's important to have that schedule in place. It's important for the mental well-being. So that focus is really um, high over here in Canada, especially in Vancouver. And I really like that aspect of my professional career over here. And the biggest, I think one of the most important thing is people in Canada especially are open and give respect to all kinds of jobs, right? If there is no job profile which people think is demeaning or is low. There is no concept such there is no concept here that if you are doing this kind of work, then you might not be eligible to work here, or you might get that demeaning looks. It's nothing of that sort. So the respect for all kinds of job is very much prevalent, is the trend in Canada. And I've also noticed another thing in terms of job stability. So I have a lot of colleagues who have been in the company for a lot of years, and people really appreciate that, the companies appreciate it, and the job stability is much higher in this country when compared to back in India. So these were a few pointers in terms of advantages which I wanted to share. Of course, there is a flip side as well, the cons, as I say it. So one thing that I realized in Canada, especially in Vancouver, was the job search process. So the companies here are very choosy about who they select to bring on board. What that actually may happens is the lead time increases in terms of giving your interviews, in terms of being selected, and in terms of getting an offer letter. Sometimes this process can go on for 3 or 4 months. So that process in India, which is can be done in a week, here that process is relatively long, and it's probably because companies are really choosy about who they hire, and they really want the best candidate for the job. And what I feel in Canada, especially in Vancouver, it's an employer's market. What I mean by that is, for a single job, the number of people applying are too many, and the jobs are comparatively on the lesser side. So the companies have the advantage when it comes to selecting from the talent pool, and typically that what that means is the time period increases. So I thought that was one of the things that you might want to be prepared for. And what happens in Canada, what I have understood is there is very higher accountability when it comes to working in a company. So if you are working in the company, you have been given responsibilities, you have been given uh, certain decision making powers. But having said that, you are accountable for each and everything that you do, right? You cannot just expect to do something and then get away with it. That's now not how things work in Canada. In India, there are certain things which people ignore, or you can do and then just forget about it. But you have to be really careful about that over here, because the accountability is really high, the moral code is really high among the people over here. So the things that you are accountable for, you have to take care about it. And yeah, one of the things that also I noticed was the difference in the culture. So what I mean by that is, when you come into a new country, people speak in a different way, in a way that you don't really can relate to at that point in time, because you are really new into the country and you don't really have that references that people make. So for example, if I'm talking to anybody in Mumbai and I start speaking about Marine Drive, people from Mumbai know about Marine Drive, right? But the same thing, if I am come when I'm coming into Canada and people talk about a particular place in Canada and they are talking about it, but for me it becomes awkward because I don't know anything about it. So that might be one of the awkwardness kind of a situation that you might find yourself in. But it is what it is. As I said, you have to make the best out of your situations. And one of the other things that I realized is, if you are from a different country, then there will be some people who might underestimate you. But having said that, it can always work in your advantage as well. So if you are being underestimated, you always have a chance to impress others. And yeah, I mean, the last 2 points are pretty much straightforward. There will be some people that you come across who might not accept you for what you are, but it happens everywhere in the world, so you have to get used to it. And yeah, you have to start your career from scratch, so you have to be prepared. You have to you have to be ready to start from right from the beginning if you are coming into a new country. So I think these are the points that I wanted to share when it comes to what to expect in terms of workplace or in terms of personal life when you move into Canada. So moving on, what I'd like to discuss is just a few of my personal experiences about moving to Canada. So one of the things that really helped me make through this transition was the fact that I had the support of my wife. So she being in Vancouver for more time than me, she really supported my decision to come over here, financially, emotionally. So that really worked in my favor. And what I still suggest to people moving to a different country is, set some time aside to familiarize yourself to the new country. Just don't come into a new place and expect to really start working. Set aside a couple of months to explore what the country is all about, to make yourself familiar with how the geography is, how things work, so that really uh, helped me personally as well. So I made it a point to roam around in Vancouver, and that really helped me because as a sales professional, I'm expected to travel a lot. So I wanted to make myself aware about how the situation in and around my new city is. So that is one of the things that I did. And yeah, what I did as other thing was that I took the time out to read and learn about the culture, to understand about what the people is, what the history of the country is, what was going on, what are the biggest developments in the country in the last 100 years. So I made sure that I'm aware about the references that people tend to make. So I believe that really helped me. And one of the other things that I proactively did was I tried striking up conversations with different people from different cultures. So as being from India and living in India throughout my life, I was pretty comfortable speaking with people from India, right? But moving on here, coming here, I made it a point that I'm talking with different people. I'm broadening my horizons. I am making sure that I interact with different people and try to understand what or how different people from different countries speak. And yeah, so I'm a big foodie. The first thing that I did was try out the local delicacies, and it really gave me an inkling about how people think or how people behave, especially when you go shopping for groceries and stuff, and you understand in which sorry, in which part of the city what is happening or what groceries you get, is when you start understanding the demographics of that part of the city. So that really helped me a lot. And one of the other things that I found useful is having a strong core of friends who are similar in thinking, who are similar from your cultural background, who you can relate to, who you can share. So you get frustrated in a new country when you don't have any friends or family. So it's necessary to have a group of friends that you can relate or unwind with. And yeah, so one of these bad habits that I had was when I moved into the country and when I went shopping, I used to always uh, convert the dollars into rupees while buying, and I used to think that, oh, I can't afford this. But yeah, so when it happens with everyone, when you move into a new country, but you still calculate the currency in rupees, and then you realize that this is something that you can't afford. But you have to realize that it is what it is again in a country, and try not to get into that mindset too much, and just yeah, go with the flow. And yeah, moving on to what my professional experience was of moving to Canada. As I said before, excuse me. Yeah. So as I said before, I had to start from the scratch. I had good amount of experience with good companies in India, but I realized that it doesn't matter which company that you work for. If you're moving to a new country, you have to start from like the scratch. And I realized that pretty early, and that really helped me. I was not averse to landing entry level jobs as well. I didn't keep any ego or any preconceived notions in my mind. I was open to working in restaurants if required. I was open to working as uh, even as waiters if required. But yeah, so I realized that I needed to start from scratch and build myself up. So that was one thing. And I also realized pretty early that searching for a job was like a full-time job itself. So the faster that you understand it, the better it will be for you. Because personally, I used to get up even when I was searching for a job. I used to be up at 7 a.m. I had this schedule in place. I used to prepare food for the day, pack a tiffin box for my wife, prepare breakfast for both of us, and then she used to go off to work. And then I used to start my job search day. So I used to be on LinkedIn for like 5 to 6 hours straight. searching for jobs, and so I realized pretty early that job search is going to be a full-time job. You have to treat it as a full-time job. You have to have a schedule in place. You have to be committed to the schedule. आज नहीं कल करेंगे, कल देख लेंगे, 2 कंपनी में अप्लाई कर दिया बस हो गया। ऐसा किया तो नहीं चलेगा। Especially when you're moving to a new country, you have to treat it seriously. You have to up your game. And in Vancouver, I realized that LinkedIn was the best source of finding jobs. Quality jobs, good jobs came up on LinkedIn. In India, I didn't really concentrate on my LinkedIn profile. I didn't update it as often. I just had a bunch of random Facebook friends added on LinkedIn. I didn't use LinkedIn too much. Having realized importance of LinkedIn coming to Canada, I made sure that my profile was updated. I connected with a lot of sales professional from Vancouver itself. Started conversations with them, started networking with them, met a lot of people for coffee chats. So that is one custom here, which is really appreciated by people. That you can meet up different sales professionals for a cup of coffee in the evening for half an hour or an hour or so, and just try to understand how they work, try to network with them, try to understand if they might have something useful for you. And during these conversations, I realized that asking questions was the best way to learn. What I mean by that is the more questions that you ask, is the more information that people start giving you. So yeah, make sure that you keep asking questions, you keep yourself motivated, and always be open to reskill or upskill. अगर कुछ नया सीखना पड़े तो don't hesitate, सीख लीजिए, कभी भी रुकना नहीं चाहिए. And the most important thing is selecting a field and sticking to it. अगर आपने, if you have thought that I'm going to be working in engineering itself, then make sure that you stick to it. टाइम लग जाएगा शायद जॉब मिलने या कुछ होने, बट अगर डिसीजन बना लिया है तो प्लीज स्टिक टू इट, डोंट चेंज इट. बट इट्स ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट टू गिव योर सेल्फ सम टाइम. इफ यू आर गिविंग योर सेल्फ 6 months कि नहीं मुझे ये प्रोफाइल में 6 महीने के लिए मैं जॉब ढूंढूंगा, देन बाकी और किसी में नजर मत मारिएगा. Be concentrate just on that and do it, but keep a time limit in mind as well. And in India, I really didn't have any problems finding a new job. I was confident enough. But coming over here, in the starting couple of weeks, it was really disappointing for me that I didn't even get a phone call or have a conversation with any of the recruiters. My resumes were being rejected, so that was really depressing for me. But then I realized that you know even searching for a job is like sales. You need to sell yourself to a company, right? And in sales, I was used to being rejected a lot. So I just connected that in my mind and took it as a part and parcel of my life and of job search, that you are going to be rejected. There is no useful thing that you can gain from it by dwelling on it too much. Just move on with life. Rejection होते रहेंगे, ठीक है, चलता है यार. दूसरा जॉब के लिए ट्राई करना हमेशा. And one of the important things that I realized is, yeah, we tend to just go through the job profile on the portals, not really reading through it. But after coming here, I realized that एक ही resume सब चीजों में नहीं चलेगा. If I'm applying to a certain company which has a certain keywords in their job profile, I have to make sure that my resume matches those keywords and I can demonstrate my quality through my resume. So job profile पढ़ने के बाद उसको how to connect it to my resume is what I learned after coming over here. And this is a funny thing, I always prefer to be overdressed. मतलब अगर कोई इंटरव्यू में जा रहे हो तो मेक श्योर यार कि प्रोफेशनली आप ड्रेस होके जाओ. Even if सामने वाला is in casuals, it's okay, but be at your best, be at your best possible self, be as professional as you can. And yeah, just be prepared to wait for the right job. Time lagega, but you have to have patience. अगर आपको, if you believe in yourself, if you think that you are worth it, then definitely wait for the right job. It will come, it will take time, but आएगा और अच्छा आएगा. And especially if you're moving to Canada, learning French really helps, because there are a lot of people who speak French in Canada, and there are many job openings which have which give you, if you know French, it helps you, cracking the interview. So if possible, try learning French. And if you're looking for a sales job, then definitely have your driving license sorted in India. यहाँ पे आने के बाद ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस बनाना इज रियली अ हेडेक. मैंने वो गलती कर लिया है, इसलिए आई एम हियर टू जस्ट एडवाइज यू कि अपना ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस एंड एवरीथिंग सॉर्ट करके यहाँ पे आना. इट मेक्स थिंग्स लॉट मोर इजियर. One of the other things that I realized is, in India, all my bosses used to take daily reports या क्या चल रहा है during month ends में. तो especially हर 2 घंटे में बॉस का कॉल आ जाता है, भाई क्लोजिंग हो रहा है, कितना सेल हुआ है आपका, क्या नहीं. Here things are a little different. Here, if you are given a responsibility, people will take reporting from you, but the reporting will not be as rigorous. They will expect you to still do the work that you are doing, but their micromanaging managers are a thing of the past in Canada, you can say that. So that is one of the things, one of the advantages. And yeah, always I've realized over here, अभी इंडिया में भी ऐसा हो रहा है कि हमारे जो मॉम डैड है वो नाउ व्हाट्सएप आने के बाद दे हैव स्टार्टेड यूजिंग टेक्नोलॉजी एंड बिकमिंग टेक savvy. But in Canada it's different. You see older people, the older generation being so comfortable with technology, being open to learning new stuff. So it really surprised me for the first couple of months of moving here, that I saw the older generation people talking about tech in a way that people in our generation people talk. So that was one of some few professional experiences that I wanted to share. And finally, I believe this is my last slide, and just wanted to share a few pro tips from with you. Again, this I cannot emphasize too much on it. If you are willing to move to a different country, then please hire a consultant, do your research. You cannot afford to goof up on any applications. A consultant charge करेगा आपको, but it is worth it. Believe me, hire कीजिए, go through the consultants and do your research, and only then make the decisions. Or if you are a engineer, if you are a working professional, be sure that you are updated about what the technology is like in the new country that you move in. So for example, अगर आप let's say data scientist हो इंडिया में, but if you are moving to Canada, then make sure that you are aware about Canada में data scientists का क्या trend चालू है, what are the technologies that they are using. That will really help you move up the ladder faster. One important thing, again, I cannot emphasize this enough, is your resume is your visiting card, right? Recruiters get hundreds of resumes every day. They have just 10 to 15 seconds to glance through your resume. How to make some points in such a way that your resume catches the eye is very important. There are a lot of tips available online. Time nikal ke please study those tips. Make sure that your resume is reflecting your personality. Aapka resume is catchy, it is professional, and it stands out. And during an interview, this thing which I found really helpful is the employees are just for me, in a sales perspective, the employees were like potential customers, and my product was myself. I had to sell myself to my potential customers or my employers. खुद को कैसे मैं खुद को कैसे सेल करूं, वो सीखना बहुत नेसेसरी है. Even if you don't have any sales experience, it's okay. Just go online, search for a few videos, search about how people, or talk to people about how to give interviews, how to be confident, how to state yourself clearly. And it's really important. Please make sure that you do that. And yeah, one of the most important things is take all the help that you require to make yourself fluent in the language of the country that you're deciding to move in. We coming from India, we can speak English well, there is no doubt about it, but we cannot think in English. अभी भी हम सोचते हिंदी में हैं, and then we speak in English. That needs to change. If you want to succeed in a different country, you need to start thinking in the language that you're wanting to speak in. That really helps, making that connections with people in the new country. And especially for Vancouver, I would say LinkedIn is the king of job search. If you are wanting to move to Canada or Vancouver and you want to have a look at what kind of jobs are available, go to LinkedIn, filter मार के Vancouver में या Canada में किस तरह के job होते हैं. Just go to the profile. उसके बाद make a decision of whether you want to or you have the skills of moving to Canada or Vancouver for that matter. And one thing I realized is, again, I mentioned this before, यार ड्यूरिंग अ जॉब सर्च आप नई कंट्री में भी हो या फिर पुराने अपने ही कंट्री में हो, अगर आप जॉब सर्च कर रहे हो, इट्स नेवर टू लेट और नेवर टू अर्ली टू स्टार्ट लुकिंग फॉर अ जॉब, राइट? आप अगर कल का प्लानिंग कर रहे हो तो भाई साहब वो लेट हो गया, आपको 2 दिन पहले से ही जॉब सर्च स्टार्ट कर देनी थी. आई कैन नॉट एम्फसिस दिस मोर. लोग बहुत है, जॉब्स आर वेरी लिमिटेड, स्पेशली विद द कोविड एंड द इकोनॉमी राइट नाउ. द फास्टर यू स्टार्ट looking for a job, the better it will be for you and for your growth, personal growth as well. And the last thing is, यार खाना, अपनी खाने की टेस्ट बदलनी पड़ेगी अगर यू आर डिसाइडिंग टू मूव आउट ऑफ द कंट्री. मैं इतना मिस करता हूँ मिसल, वड़ा पाव, सैंडविच, बट क्या करें, अब यहाँ पे आके क्रोसॉन्ट्स और बेगल्स खाने पड़ते हैं. बट अगेन इट्स समथिंग that you need to keep in mind ke we will have to change our eating habits. If you move to a new country, you will have to start learning how to cook. मैंने भी यहाँ पे आने से पहले 30 साल तक खाना नहीं बनाया था. यहाँ पे आने के बाद मैंने खाना बनाना भी सीख लिया है. सो प्लीज स्टार्ट कीप दैट इन माइंड कि खुद का काम खुद करना पड़ सकता है, इंडिया जैसी नहीं होगा यहाँ पे. So yeah, these were the few pro tips that I wanted to share with you all. I hope it has been a useful session, and yeah, please, you can carry on.
Thank you, Nitan. You have taken an awesome session. You have covered all your experiences also in this session. Thank you so much. I'll start. First question is, when you're working there as a team, how is the culture out there? Is it the team has mix of foreigners or major of Canadian, and how the response you get working with them?
So I'll share my personal experience. So in my team of 10 guys, people are from different provinces, people are from different cultures, people speak different languages. So sorry. So it's a mix and match. There is no bias when it comes to hiring certain people for certain teams. Again, it's all based on the field that you want to go into. If you want to go into a field which is dominated by one particular cultural community, then it might be advantageous for you. But having said that, if you have got the necessary talent, if you have got the necessary job skills, then there is no issue. It's always a good team atmosphere. People support each other. People are always open to collaborate. People are really caring about each other's personal space professionally as well. And really a good and awesome experience working in a team here. Yeah.
Okay. I'll invite my other team members. Abhinav sir, can you take next question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Nitant, thank you for this interactive session. I would like to ask you a question from our chat box. How our final year students can plan their way to the Canada as a working professional? Step by step.
Yeah, so I mean, final year students, you have to first understand whether you want to move to Canada for further studies or you want to move here with a permanent residency. So I would suggest, if given the opportunity, if you have the financial resources or if you can arrange for the financial resources, make sure that you come for your further studies. Now you have to decide whether you want to do a master's or you want to do an MBA. The demand for masters right now in this economy is pretty high compared to the demand for MBAs. So it gives you an advantage being from an engineering background. अगर engineering में ही आपने further masters किया है तो your demand will be really high when it compared to if you have done an MBA. So if given an opportunity, my suggestion would be graduation के बाद अगर आपको यहाँ पे आना है तो मेक श्योर दैट यू कम फॉर अ मास्टर्स. आपको मास्टर्स में भी अगर इंजीनियरिंग में ही इंटरेस्ट आपको है तो प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट इंजीनियरिंग का ही आप मास्टर्स कंटिन्यू कीजिए एंड इट विल बी रियली वर्थ इट. सो या मेक अप योर माइंड कि कैसे आना है पहले, और इट्स वेरी इजी। अगर आपने एक बार डिसाइड कर लिया है कि मुझे मास्टर्स के लिए आना है या एमबीए के लिए आना है, तो इट्स वेरी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड रूट है सबके लिए। अगेन एज आई सेड, आपका ऑनलाइन रिसर्च कीजिएगा एंड प्लीज स्पीक टू अ कंसल्टेंट। कंसल्टेंट से बात कीजिएगा, व्हाट दे विल गिव यू गुड सजेशंस, एंड उसके बाद ही कोई डिसीजन लीजिएगा।
Okay. Thank you. Abdul sir, you are taking next question.
Yes, sir. Yes. First of all, I want to thank Nitan for the wonderful session. So I'm gonna take a question which is asked by one of our participants, and the question is, what are the important skills one should have to get a job in Canada or in any other country, especially for the one from country like India?
ये तो क्वेश्चन बहुत ब्रॉड है। लेट्स नैरो इट डाउन टू इंजीनियरिंग। इंजीनियरिंग में अगर आप पूछ रहे हो कि क्या स्किल्स चाहिए मुझे टू लैंड अ जॉब स्पेशली इन कनाडा, तो आई गिव यू एन आंसर ऑन दैट।
Yeah, please go on.
मेक श्योर कि यार आपका कोर, जो आपकी फील्ड में जो कोर सब्जेक्ट्स हो उसमें आपकी मास्टरी पकड़ जो हो वो काफी हाई हो। एंड फॉर एग्जांपल आई गिव यू माय एग्जांपल। हमें जब मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी का सिलेबस होता था इंजीनियरिंग में, वी यूज्ड टू बी टॉट कार्बोरेटर्स। अभी कार्बोरेटर्स की टेक्नोलॉजी वो टाइम पे ही आउटडेटेड होने लगी थी, एंड वी वर स्टिल स्टडिंग अबाउट कार्बोरेटर्स। सो मेक श्योर दैट आपका जो नॉलेज हो, आपका जो कोर फील्ड में नॉलेज हो, दैट इज अप टू द मार्क विथ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन द वर्ल्ड। तो वो एक स्किल डेवलप कीजिएगा। और बेसिकली फॉर इंजीनियरिंग तो आई थिंक आपके जो कोर टेक्निकल स्किल्स है उस पे अगर आपकी मास्टरी है, इफ यू कैन प्रूव इट टू योर एम्प्लॉयर्स के भाई आई कैन ब्रिंग दिस टू द टेबल, देन डेफिनेटली योर जॉब सर्च विल बी सक्सेसफुल। तो यस, आपके जो कोर स्किल्स है उस पर ध्यान दीजिएगा। कीप योर सेल्फ अपडेटेड अबाउट द ट्रेंड्स और अबाउट what is happening in the world, and keep yourself updated with the technologies of the world today.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Next question I am taking, Nitan. There are options like either you get option from the company to work in Canada for limited period, but then it all depends on which company provide that kind of option, and the second option is you by yourself go. So can you all tell both pros and cons of both? Which one is your advice?
जो फर्स्ट उन्होंने जो ऑप्शन बताया है कि कंपनी जाने को देती है या कंपनी स्पॉन्सर करती है, मेरे एक्सपीरियंस में मैंने यहाँ पे जितने भी लोगों से बात किया है या जितना भी रहा है, आई हैव नेवर कम अक्रॉस अ जॉब ओपनिंग वेयर द कंपनी इज स्पॉन्सरिंग योर वीजा, स्पेशली इन वैंकूवर। आई कैन से दैट they will hire you if you have your work permit or your PR. They will not be interested in sponsoring you. Again, I'm saying this because वैंकूवर का जॉब मार्केट इज डिफरेंट। यहाँ पे एम्प्लॉयर्स के पास है जो भी पावर है, दे हैव द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू पिक अप द बेस्ट टैलेंट। दे विल नॉट बी वांटिंग टू स्पॉन्सर योर वीजा टू कम टू टेक यू टू वैंकूवर एंड गिव यू अ जॉब, तो वो यहाँ पे नहीं होता। और जो सेकंड पार्ट है, ऑफ कोर्स पीआर लेके आना is I think the best option if you are looking to just work here and not study here. पीआर के अगेन आप कनाडा गवर्नमेंट के ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट पे जाके रिसर्च कर सकते हो। उसमें काफी टूल्स है जिससे आप अपना स्कोर कैलकुलेट कर सकते हो। मेक श्योर दैट यू गो थ्रू एवरीथिंग इन डिटेल्स। आपका क्या स्कोर बन रहा है अगेंस्ट प्रीवियस मंथ का कट ऑफ क्या है वो कंपेयर कीजिए। वेयर डू यू स्टैंड आपको समझ जाएगा। देन यू कैन मेक अ डिसीजन कि भाई मैं जॉब के लिए जा सकता हूँ या फिर पढ़ाई का ऑप्शन मेरे लिए बेटर है। बट हैविंग सेड दैट, अगेन अगर मुझसे पूछे जाए तो आई वुड से कि पढ़ाई करने आओ। इट गिव्स यू एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू रिकूप योर मनी एज वेल, प्लस आपका जो ऊपर तक का सीढ़ी है वो काफी स्मूथ हो जाता है कंपेयर टू द सेकंड ऑप्शन ऑफ गेटिंग द पीआर एंड मूविंग ओवर हियर।
Abhinav sir, you have more questions?
Yes, sir. Nitant, you covered a very basic but an important point. Think in English. As our most of the students are from rural region, they have problem with English. So, can you give some tips? How can develop this mentality? To think in
sure.
English?
So basically, what you can start doing is, ये तो सबको कहते भी है, but I cannot emphasize this more. Start reading English newspapers. स्पेशली अगर आप इंजीनियरिंग फील्ड से हो तो जो भी टेक जर्नल्स आती है, न्यूज़पेपर में अगर इंटरेस्ट नहीं है छोड़ दीजिए, बट जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल जर्नल्स आती है ऑनलाइन, अभी तो सब मिल गया, स्मार्टफोन है, बट वो पढ़ना चालू कीजिए। कोई बुक्स पढ़िए इंग्लिश में। अगर आप नेटफ्लिक्स या अमेजोन जो भी आपके पास हो वो देखते हो तो स्टार्ट गोइंग वॉचिंग इंग्लिश मूवीज, इंग्लिश शोज। तो वो जो इंग्लिश आपका उसी से ज्यादा स्मूथ होते रहेगा। प्लस जो एक्सेंट आपको समझ में आने में तकलीफ होती है, इफ यू स्टार्ट हियरिंग इट मोर, इफ यू वॉच दो शोज, वो एक्सेंट आपको पकड़ने में इजी हो जाएगा। एंड ग्रेजुअली, स्लो प्रोसेस है, 6 महीने 8 महीने या 1 साल लग जाए, बट इंग्लिश स्टार्ट्स इम्प्रूविंग। प्लस देयर आर सर्टन एप्स भी है, ड्यूओलिंगो करके एक ऐप है, वेर इन विच यू कैन यूज इट टू इम्प्रूव योर एनी लैंग्वेज स्किल्स। तो बेसिक से लेके एडवांस वर्जन तक आपको सिखाता है। तो यही है कि जो भी इंग्लिश आपको अगर सुधारनी है तो उसमें जितना आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे उतना अच्छा रहेगा। स्टार्ट रीडिंग बुक्स, टेक जर्नल्स, न्यूज़पेपर्स, स्टार्ट वॉचिंग अ लॉट ऑफ इंग्लिश शोज इफ पॉसिबल। जो एप्स वगैरह है उसको यूज कीजिए। ट्राई टू इम्प्रूव योर लैंग्वेज, ट्राई टू स्पीक इन इंग्लिश मोर। आपके फ्रेंड्स के साथ भी आप बात कर रहे हो तो ट्राई टू हैव द कन्वर्सेशन इन इंग्लिश। थोड़ी दिक्कत होगी, थोड़ा ऑड लगेगा कि भाई बचपन से हिंदी मराठी में बात करते आए, अभी दोस्तों से कैसे इंग्लिश में बात करें, बट ट्राई कीजिए। 1 हफ्ता और लगेगा, 2 हफ्ता हंसी आएगी, बट उसके बाद यू विल स्टार्ट हैविंग द कन्वर्सेशन इन इंग्लिश एंड यू विल रियलाइज कि आप में कितना इंप्रूवमेंट आ रहा है। बहुत बेसिक फंडा है, कुछ इसमें रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है। तो मोर यू प्रैक्टिस तो मोर यू विल इम्प्रूव। जो जो भी तरीके से आप प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हो प्रैक्टिस कीजिए। ट्राई टू स्पीक मोर, ट्राई टू हियर मोर एंड यू विल इम्प्रूव।
Abdul sir.
Yes, sir. The next question is, Nitin, what are the suggestion and advice you want to give to our present mechanical engineering student as an alumni?
Oh, present mechanical engineering students, guys, make sure जो हम गलती करते थे वो ना कीजिए। प्रैक्टिकल्स में ध्यान देना, जो हम करते थे वैसा मत कीजिएगा। प्रैक्टिकल्स आर द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट, आई बिलीव, एस्पेक्ट ऑफ एनी एजुकेशन। हमको तो चलो अब तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते, बट माय एडवाइस वुड बी प्रैक्टिकल्स जितना हो सके उतना कीजिएगा। प्लस मेक श्योर दैट, जैसा मैंने कहा था कि हमें कार्बोरेटर सिखाते थे बट वो टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं चल रही, तो वो सीख के हम क्या करेंगे। वैसे मत कीजिए। अगर आपको लग रहा है कि कुछ नई एडवांसमेंट्स हो रही है फील्ड में, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड से ही पढ़िए, अपने आप से भी समझिए, ट्राई टू गैस द टेक्नोलॉजी। बहुत सारे नई नई चीजें हो रही है अपार्ट फ्रॉम जो कोर्स में सिखाया जाता है, उसके बावजूद भी काफी कुछ हो रहा है दुनिया में, उससे अपडेटेड रहिए। प्लस अगर आप इफ पॉसिबल तो साइड बाय साइड, आई मीन फुल टाइम तो इंटर्नशिप करने का चांस शायद ना मिले आपको, कोर्स में होता नहीं है, बट अगर 2-3 घंटे भी आप कोई भी छोटी मोटी कोई भी कंपनी में फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट जाके एटलीस्ट उनका सेटअप आप ऑब्जर्व कर पाओ, या दो जन से बात कर पाओ, या उनके मशीन्स को एटलीस्ट जाके देख पाओ। पैसे वगैरह तो ठीक है, वो बात की बात है, बट जस्ट फॉर योर पर्सनल लर्निंग, तो ट्राई टू डू दैट। बात भी कीजिएगा, जो लोग काम करते हैं फील्ड में उनसे कनेक्ट कीजिएगा, जानिएगा कि दुनिया में क्या चल रहा है। कीप योरसेल्फ अवेयर प्रैक्टिकली। एंड अगेन मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा, प्रैक्टिकल चीजों पे एम्फोसिस दीजिए ज्यादा। अपना थियरी रटने का और आंसर्स लिखने का आदत बचपन का ही रहा है, बट ट्राई कीजिए उसको चेंज करने, प्रैक्टिकल पे फोकस कीजिए, एंड आई थिंक या यू विल बी सक्सेसफुल।
Yeah, that was a good suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Few questions, rapid fire. I'm taking. Which industries you feel are growing or is having huge market, upcoming market in Canada?
I think the technology sector over here is really booming, especially the e-commerce. And in e-commerce तो फिलहाल चलो पूरी दुनिया में ही चल रहा है। कोविड की वजह से जो ई-कॉमर्स की साइकिल, सप्लाई चेन में, लॉजिस्टिक्स में, टेक, बेसिकली जो भी टेक की कंपनीज है दैट आर रियली बूमिंग इन वैंकूवर। वैंकूवर इज बिकमिंग लाइक द सेकंड टेक हब व्हेन इट कम्स टू कनाडा। सो इफ यू हैव गॉट अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस, अगर आप आईटी प्रोफेशनल हो या कंप्यूटर के प्रोफेशनल हो, इंजीनियरिंग के, तो आई थिंक इट वुड बी रियली ब्राइट चांसेस फॉर यू, बिकॉज आईटी और वो टेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर बहुत बूम हो रहा है फिलहाल।
Or what is the approximate salary range in rupees monthly? Average salaries typical engineer who works there?
हाँ, ये तो बहुत टफ हो जाएगा बताने के लिए. On an average, if I was to take a calculated guess, I would say 50,000 Canadian dollars per year आप पकड़ के चल सकते हो. अब उसको कैसे आप कन्वर्ट करोगे वो देख लीजिएगा, बट आई थिंक 50,000 Canadian dollars you can take on an average के मोटा मोटी हो जाएगा उतना.
Okay. And personally, on weekends, what are the major plans out there? अभी तो corona is there, but when COVID is not there, then
majorly यार, Vancouver is very beautiful when it comes to nature. यहाँ पे hiking parks का culture बहुत है, beaches का culture बहुत है. तो weekends पे तो basically वही होता है, हम लोग कहीं पे चले गए hike करने के लिए या beach पे थोड़ा chill मार लिया. Especially summers में जब सुबह के 6 बजे sunrise हो जाती है तो रात को 9 बजे तक sun ऊपर ही रहता है, तो काफी बड़ा दिन मिल जाता है. तो बीचेस पे चले गए, वॉक्स पे चले गए, थोड़ी अक्रॉस द सिटी साइकिलिंग का भी कल्चर है यहाँ पे, साइकिल कर लिया. एंड वैंकूवर एज सिटी हैज अ लॉट, बहुत ही फोकस है यहाँ पे फिटनेस पे. लोग ओवरवेट या ओबीज ज्यादा दिखते नहीं है रास्ते में कंपेयर टू अदर मेजर सिटीज इन द यूएस और इन कनाडा. तो यहाँ पे फिटनेस कल्चर इज वेरी हाई. वही फिटनेस रिलेटेड जो भी एक्टिविटीज है वो सब करने की ट्राई करते हैं. कभी कभी होता है, कभी कभी नहीं होता. कभी कभी खाना खा के अच्छे से इंडियन खाना खा लिया और टीवी देख लिया, नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल हो गया. तो सब मिक्स एंड मैच है, बट या नेचर से रिलेटेड काफी एक्टिविटीज हो जाती
many times बाहर जाने के बाद इंडिया को भूल जाते हैं यार.
अरे सर जी, हर रोज याद आती है, ऐसा नहीं है.
Okay. और क्या मिस करते हैं इंडिया का?
फैमिली, दैट इज द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज, स्पेशली व्हेन अभी जो डिफिकल्टीज चल रही है कि पता नहीं कल क्या हो जाए किसी को. उसमें पैसा भी है, सब कुछ है, बट यू आर अवे फ्रॉम योर पेरेंट्स, राइट? आप अपने साथ पेरेंट्स के साथ हो नहीं, और कल कुछ इंडिया में कैसे चल रहा है क्या पता नहीं. एंड यहाँ पे रह के यू कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग, आप कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे, आपके हाथ बंधे हुए हैं. तो वो एक सबसे बड़ा ट्रेड ऑफ मुझे लगता है इफ यू आर मूविंग टू अ न्यू कंट्री. वो काफी इम्पैक्ट करता है आपकी मेंटल साइकी पे.
Thank you so much for sharing all these things. Finally, last one message for ARMIET College.
Last message for ARMIET College is keep up the good work. You have started this new initiative which I think will be really helpful. एंड लोगों को अभी फिलहाल तो काफी जरूरत है एक दूसरे का सपोर्ट की, एक दूसरे का प्रोत्साहन की. कीप अप द गुड वर्क, कीप अप द हार्ड वर्क. एंड हार्ड वर्क से बड़ा कोई चीज है नहीं, मैंने रियलाइज किया है. ARMIET इज विलिंग टू डू दैट, ARMIETians आर विलिंग टू डू दैट. हमारे मेंटालिटी में हार्ड वर्क लिखा हुआ है. कीप डूइंग दैट एंड आई थिंक यू विल बी सक्सेसफुल.
Thank you so much. Keep sharing some upcoming opportunities in Canada.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you so much. I invite
thank
Abhinav
you.
sir to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of our ARMIET family, I want to thank you, Nitant, for this informative session. You have explained your points very well for our participants. I am also thankful to the management for providing this virtual platform where everyone can come, join, and learn different perspectives of life, career, education. Thank you, Ram sir, for providing the technical support, and Rashid Mullah sir for co-hosting this session. I am sure all the participants must have now clear idea for their way into the Canadian market. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you once again, Mr. Nitant Joshi, for having your time here. Stay home, stay safe.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
So the entire team who is all the viewers who are watching us live on YouTube, big thank you to all of you that you have continuously watching our series and you are making it successful. The initiative connecting to mentors and mentees is giving wonderful responses. We'll be coming up with much more series like this. So thank you once again for watching us live, and follow our page so you will get the notifications for our upcoming webinars.